Hello, hello, hello. This is Kim with Abundant Life Tarot. We are here for another Tarot Love Clinic. And today's topic is going to be all about unhealthy client reader dynamics, and give some examples of what that may look like, hear from you on what examples you know of, or if you have any questions about this, you can definitely chime in with them. And maybe we'll pull some cards or throw some cards. You know me, I like to use jumpers. So, yeah, I want to thank you all for joining me today. Hello, welcome. Okay, so I'm super excited for today's topic. And I love that you guys vote because it helps to kind of get a pulse on what people want to hear or chat about in our Tarot Love Clinic, our regularly scheduled Tarot Love Clinic. And you can bring your questions that you wish to roundtable as a tarot reader, of course, keeping names anonymous and whatnot. I'm sure that's what we do, right? Or you can ask questions, for me to throw the cards if we have time, or if we want to throw cards together on this topic of discussion, we're going to do that. And this is to help us, gain the most from our tarot reading experience, whether we are the ones receiving tarot readings or whether we're the ones giving them. It is such a powerful gift that we have at our disposal in this time in history, right? I think we all who are familiar with the power of tarot could agree on that. Hey, Nina. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so happy you're here. I love when you're here. Okay, so I won't be long-winded. I have a list. I have a list, of course. Nina, how are you doing? How is it going? Before we get into it, let me just do a quick little touch base and see how we're doing. Thank you for your heart to heart. So, when we are called to be tarot readers or oracle card readers or readers, right? Maybe you are not even a reader, like a card reader. Maybe you're a psychic, a medium, a channel. But this is a service-oriented type of healing that we're doing. We're working with other people. And from time to time, you're going to come up against people who are hurting. You're going to come up against people who, and I hate to use the word against, but you're going to come up against with people who they are maybe distracted or upset about something else and they're taking it out on you. So if you have ever worked in a customer service type of industry or ever really had to work with other people, you probably know that. And so really you're bringing some of those skills that you may have had from past jobs to this experience as a reader because, the first things first, really try not to take things personal. It's hard though. If someone is attacking, like the dynamic, and we'll get into that. I have my list. The dynamic of the client really is ticked off and pissed about like a message that came through and they're mad at you, or they're mad at the situation that they find themselves in. And like they're going back to that reactive response of anger or lashing out. And from a human to human, I empathize and recognize that because I've been there. I don't necessarily, I personally try to be careful about lashing out on people, but I know and recognize where that may be coming from. So that empathy, that's very much important when you're in a client tarot reader or reader dynamic. Okay, always. And that in and of itself has people fall all head over heels in love with you. They, as a reader, like, you will find if you are just starting out reading professionally that you will start to have people who want to work with you regularly. And that feels really good. And there's a healthy, high vibing relationship dynamic with that energy, and where your client is like, you're my go-to reader when I have something pop up, or I'm trying to manifest something, or I have a relationship issue I want to tackle, or I'm entering the dating world. I want my tarot reader to help me out here. That's a different energy than when a client starts to depend on you and constantly want readings, like all the time, booking reading. You haven't even delivered the last reading barely, and they've already got another reading, and it's the same topic, it's the same question, it's the same person that they're talking about, it's the same situation. They haven't even sorry, somebody was walking by. Why are they back there? They don't look like workers. Let me stop being a freaking American. What am I doing? Hello. Hi, Elizabeth, magical unicorn, like your name. Yes, I had one client like that. She went off on me and demanded her money back. And we're going to dive right on into that one, because that actually kind of ties into the first ones that I listed here. I had one client like that. She went off on me and demanded her money back. This was years ago. I told her the man who left her was not a good man. She was close to meeting the right man for her. And when you are a reader, chances are you're going to get those type of questions over and over again. And people really honing in on one person to be their soul partner and to be their reason for living, and and that's what they're hanging their hat on for happiness. And again, I've been there. When I was in my 20s, I had been there. Like, no one else, none of my friends, none of my family members could tell me otherwise. I was hooked on this one person and I could not let go. And God, thank God I wasn't getting readings back then, when I was in a very toxic way of thinking about my love life. Thank God, because I would have wore a tarot reader out, like, constantly. If I was single and dating, oh my gosh, and I had a favorite tarot reader, I would be like, she'd be on speed dial. They don't do speed dial anymore, but yep. And sometimes it's just best to give the money back. I gave her the money back and figured I'd never hear from her again. She contacted me the following year to say he ended up in jail for abusing the woman he left her for. See what I'm saying? And the messages are coming through strong and clear for you to even say that, right? Thank you, babe. I appreciate you. And he's still under the weather, and my mouse was dying. I needed some batteries, and I've already ordered rechargeable batteries. I want to be very earth conscious. But anyways, I digress. But giving the money back, especially, and I have mixed reviews or mixed feelings about after you've rendered a reading and having to give the money back. But sometimes it's just not even worth the argument, and you can follow your intuition on whether or not it's best to just say, you know what, I have my policy in place. I know I already delivered this reading, but this person is causing me a headache and a half. Let me go ahead and refund them. And then sometimes I dig my heels in the sand. Like the one lady I mentioned last week's love, our tarot love clinic, where I said, well, she gave me 3 back-to-back, because she booked 3 readings for me on 3 separate occasions in a close time period. And that should have been a clue for me. But I was, new to giving professional readings. Or not, I wasn't that new, but I was new-ish. And so she left bad reviews. And at first I was like, let me just give her money back. And then something inside of me was like, no, in Etsy, let one of those reviews stand, and the rest they got rid of or whatever. And at that point, I didn't care. They allowed me to do my rebuttal, and I dug my heels in the sand. I was like, no, I know what's coming through. Spirit, I felt a strong connection to what was coming through, like, but she didn't like it. But there would be times, I'm sure, that comes up where I'm like, you getting your money back. You gonna leave me the hell alone. You're gonna leave me the hell alone. Hey, how are you? You are not that late. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you coming today. Oh, I love it. I love what we were happening last week. You guys, this was fun when we were like in sync, like from different parts of the world, and we're just throwing cards and collectively chatting. That felt good. So yeah, sometimes you got to give the money back, because it just, do you feel like dealing with the headache? And sometimes one unhealthy client dynamic that is listed here, but I'm just going to talk about it anyways, is there are querents or clients who will shop tarot readers, and they have their go-tos. And I don't have any qualms about a client going to multiple readers. I got my gifts, I know my cards, whatever. But they start to get experience with it, and they know that reviews and feedback is really important to us, because we are in a service-oriented type of industry or business or healing service. And they are like, they try to hold that over the head. Well, I don't want to have to leave a bad review for you. I mean, you're telling me you can't see anything? I mean, this feels very wrong to me. Well, okay. It feels very wrong to you. But you could either at that point elect to educate them on what's going on here, or you could be like, I'm giving you your money back. And I personally make it a rule that I'm like, it's rare I'm going to give you your money back, because I'll give you your money back if there's some storm out here that knocks the power out for days and I can't deliver the reading. That's not your fault. You're getting your money back. But I deliver the reading. It took a lot of energy and time to, and when we say energy, we're not just talking, well, we're talking it all: the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, all of the mental. So, I get both sides of the argument, and that's why I err on the side of case by case, really. But have a policy in place, but case by case. You'll know when it may be time to dig your heels in the sand or not. And so yeah. Yeah, that happens a lot too in the hotlines. Like they don't think that readers will see that you've left a bad review. And querents and clients, how do you think that would make a reader feel, right? Like, that doesn't give us warm and fuzzy feelings. And my thing, I would just simply say, is it seems like, we didn't, have a connection there, and there's probably a better reader for you. Thank you so much for reaching out to me again. I hope, the best for you. Take good care. And I genuinely mean that. Anybody who comes into my energy little space around me, and I want them to feel good. I never want to have any fallouts or animosity, and I want the best and how it's good for them. However, you're not going to drag me down and around again. And one hotline that I work for, they're like, you do not have, if they left you a bad review, or, or some really squirrely stuff was happening in the prior reading, you don't have to read for them. I mean, no, like, just no. If possible, could we talk about clients that get you physically sick? Yes. Yes, even with grounding and protection. Let's talk about it. That's what I'll do so I can stay on track. Is I will, as I come up on them, I'm just going to check it off because these are important, I think, as readers. In my former industry, what I love most about being in an industry is being with fellow colleagues and chatting with them. And then also, if there's folks who don't read the cards, it's still good for you to hear, like the behind the scenes, like, what was the name of that show? Actor Studio. I used to love Actor Studio, where, the actors are, speaking before the audience of the students, the college students, and they're being interviewed, but they're talking about their process. And I live for those things. Hey, MA, Shellfish Tarot. Hello, hello. I'm glad you are here. As a reader, I have been nervous to read about a new guy I've seen a few times. Any advice on her to move past the scared energy of peeking? Okay. As a reader, I have been nervous to read about a new guy I've seen a few times. Oh. The scary energy of peeking at the potential. Oh, yes. We will talk about that. I'm going to circle back up real fast to the last point. But yeah, we'll delve in because I'm going to get clarification. So as a reader, I've been nervous to read about a new guy you've seen. Now, is this a new guy for you that you're curious about and scared to look at the potential? Or is this a client you're helping and supporting who's scared? And usually the folks I find there are not scared. I'm like, oh, are you ready for this information? But you are, because you came to the cards and you asked. And there's a reason you were called to come. And so let me go back here. I want to talk about Ana Luisa's question for a moment. This does happen. The physical, right? I would say recently, I don't know if it was just one client or if it was several clients who had a lot of wounded energy and we did a lot of deep diving per reading. And it was like several readings a few months ago. And I was already kind of feeling low, not feeling very, I wasn't really exercising. I was just sitting at the table for hours, not getting my sunlight. I need sunlight. I've been dangerously low on vitamin D. So to the point it starts to affect my cognitive stuff. I'm very sensitive to changes in my body. I'll know when something's off. So I already had those kind of things going on, but then there was one reading with a new client. Normally I have repeat clients, thankfully, and it saves me from having to do advertising. I know I need to drum up more business, but I just love my regulars. But there's a new person, and when the new person, you're getting to energetically know them, and depending on what they're going through or what they're asking about. And I remember this particular new client, and it wasn't anything crazy, but I just remember it hit me, and I was so tired, exhausted, physically exhausted. I'm an Aquarius, not that I'm a huge expert in astrology, but mental energy equates, when I expend a lot of mental energy on a reading, it also affects me physically. I end up getting very tired and like a little prune, and then I need to be pumped up and revitalized with rest and with, the physical things that rejuvenate me. Lots of water, plenty of rest, making sure I get sunlight or take my vitamin D supplements, eat good, fruits and veggies, take care of the physical self. But if it happens a lot, and it's been rare, and it circles back to where I want to talk about. It's rare for me to have a client just physically or totally physically drain me. It's normal for me to be mentally drained, not so normal for me to be emotionally drained or just outright physically drained because of them. Now, everybody is different. You probably have a different experience than I do, but that's my personal how it works. But when I used to charge very low rates when I first started out in doing professional readings, because I'm trying to drum up business and stuff and get my little shop going and my website up and have people come and see, and I wanted to just serve and read for everybody and for everything, every topic, right? But in the beginning, there were moments where there was a lot of physically, emotionally, and mentally drained times after a reading with a client. And I was like, I don't have a heart to tell them that I can't do readings for them anymore. I don't feel like I'm best serving them. And then I realized that's what you say. So I started getting comfortable with saying, you know what, I don't think that I'm the reader for you. I really, I'm just getting mixed messages or whatever you need to say. I'm getting mixed messages. I don't know if I'm connecting in the way that you need. And maybe there's another reader better suited for you. I am not opposed to referring someone to another reader or having them seek out other expertise, whether it's therapy or, things that are just not in my wheelhouse. I'm not shy about or scared or timid about saying, I don't know if this is going to work out for you and me. And me is a factor in the relationship as well, in the dynamic, So I raised my rates. That's what I did. I raised my rates to something that what ended up happening was with this particular client I'm thinking of, like she would book reading after reading after reading after reading. It literally was like, I have not delivered her video reading yet, and here comes another request. And I'm like, you haven't even heard the messages that are downloading. You have to take a moment to ponder and meditate on what's coming through and process. And she's like, not having any of it. And I would even tell her, like, let's wait like some time. Let's give it some time. And I'm all new to readings where they're paying me through Etsy, and I'm like, I don't want to rock the boat, but she just wasn't having it. I could even be a little more stern, like, don't come back to me until let's allow this amount of time, and she just wouldn't. She didn't care. The only thing that changed it was when I raised my rates, and it's my tried and true tip. When things start getting energetically funky, and you'll know, what is going on? Why are these, I'm feeling off, the readings feel off, and these people are constantly draining me, and they're booking more and more, and they're not listening or picking up on the cues. Raise your rates. And that will do two things. That will either have the client get more invested in listening, because now it's costing them a little more. And if they love you, and I know they do, they're going to pay and then be more inclined to do the work and be like, okay, and give them a warning too. Maybe it's gotten to a point where you're like, you're draining me. However, they're draining you physically, emotionally, mentally, however, they're draining you. This is where the tarot coach comes into play. I don't want to just keep taking your money and it seems like you're not even benefiting from it. And I'm concerned. However you need to word it, or you raise your rates. And the folks who just want to continue just to be able to have the ability and the freedom to book with you, like reading upon reading upon reading, they can't afford it and they won't do that. They'll be more, and they'll move on, sure. And some people will be like, well, why would you want them to move on? They just take their money. I'm a person with ethics. That's how I roll. I'm not passing judgment on people who would just say, well, they want to continue to pay me. I'm just going to continue to tell them the same thing. And that's fine, I guess. But for me, it doesn't sit well with me. So, yeah. Yeah, I did not want to give the money back, but I wanted to release the whole experience from my life, and it was worth it. That's right. And that's what I was saying. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you guys, like, no, you got to dig your heels in the sand, and or no, like, or whichever way, right? Whichever way, you will intuitively know. And yeah, let me see. Okay. I don't know which part. Hi. Hello, Alvia. Thank you for joining. Which part was yikes? Yes, I'm sensitive too. I had to strengthen. Yes, I had to as well, Nina. It was each time, like you kind of, as you do the readings more and more, more people start to find you, more people start to work with you. Your regulars work with you regularly. So if you're only used to doing a few readings a month, and then now it's increasing, naturally you're having to exercise some metaphysical, energetic realm muscles to help, because we're in physical bodies here on this earth. And so we're still here trying to manage all of this. And yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I had to, like today, on one of the hotlines, they're having this big sale. And I have mixed feelings about working sales because it's too many folks. And then it brings out the people who are just looking to, like we talked about, they're looking for the cheapest reader, who's accurate, of course, but cheap, who they could keep on keeping on. And it's like, not today, not today. There's a leak in the bathroom, in the master bath with the toilet. And I can't sleep with it. First of all, it's the drip, drip, drip. Then I freak out like, oh, is it going to spill over the little pots that I have holding it until the landlord person comes and fixes it? So yeah, I was like, I don't know about all that. My physical well-being is saying no. I'm like, that's what it's saying. Hold on, let me scoot over so I'm not reaching. Yes, raising prices. Some people be like, the thing about raising prices is it can trigger inside of us this sense of lack, in terms of, oh my gosh, my phone is going to go quiet, or the hotline I work for is going to go quiet, or my website is going to go dead. And what ends up happening typically, because of the algorithms, at least on Etsy, I don't know so much about my website. I need like an SEO person, I'm sure, to help with this part of the conversation. But on Etsy, there's algorithms. So the moment that you make an update like that to like raising your prices or lowering them or running a sale or changing pictures or adding little videos to your listings, that triggers an algorithm to say, oh, look over here, there's this product right here, this reading. And so it draws people, and then it's like a kiss from the universe saying, like, look, you raised your prices, now you have some more higher vibing people that you are, because you're here, and then you're constantly with the very low rates are attracting folks who are here vibrationally. No judgment, nothing wrong with that. I'm a human being. I've been here before, but I'm here. And it drags me down so low, mentally, emotionally, physically. I need to be here. Plus, I'm expending a lot more energy now doing this work, studying, learning, reading for people every day. So it's not even just reading for that one client. It's the whole collective, the experience that they're receiving from you. It's a lot. So you raise your rates. You will then know energetically too, like after a while, you're like, oh, there's nothing really happening at this rate. I've done all the little upgrades I could do for my website. I've worked on my social media. I've, maximized this quiet time. The chances are you're going to end up getting a different clientele, folks who have a little more money to spend on readings, and they're actually coming to you for things about career, their life purpose, questions about, not that you're giving financial advice, but they want to plan out their vision for their home 5 years from now. You know what I'm saying? It's a different different clientele. And that's where you are energetically. Just my 2 cents. Hi, Nomi. I'm not a pro reader, but I'm interested. Oh, thank you. And so, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's people who are not, everybody can watch because you can, hopefully glean something. And maybe some folks are reading for others for free or for a bartering type of thing going on, or maybe one day they will be pro. Maybe they do readings for the collective, and eventually they'll start accepting donations from folks. I was having a wonderful conversation last night with someone from our community, and I loved it because we were talking about folks like, I'm YouTube world, that's what I know. But then there's this TikTok world of tarot readers that's happening over there, and it's just interesting how it unfolds and grows. And I don't know. Loved it. Let's see. Personally, I don't always find extreme grounding the most helpful practice. It's easier to deal with anything when I'm more connected to the cosmos. And see, we're all like different, and I can relate to that. For me, sometimes my grounding practices literally have to be taking care of my physical. It's not going to necessarily show up with what people think. It might be cleaning my house. That doesn't sound grounding. It might be kicking my shoes off and going planting it in grass when I lived in Sac, or the sand here, and just because I'm always out here in the inner, like connecting with my mind. And I don't know if any of this makes any sense. Quite right. Reading energy is different than therapy. I'm actually certified in shamanic healing arts. So though I'm not a psychologist, I do go a bit deeper into healing practices. Yes. Let's see. Yes, many folks who are more serious about transforming their lives are willing to make more of an investment in a good reader. Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with running sales. There's nothing wrong with having an entry point, like a low rate for folks to work with you initially, but don't make it such a time investment for yourself. Keep it light, quick, where they get a little taste of you. And then, it's not because, raising the prices always is my secret trick. And then then I'll go back in my spreadsheets of like looking over like the readings I've done in the past. I track all of them. It's ridiculous, but I do. And I'll see like, oh, that's right. I remember him. I remember her. And I remember raising the prices. And some people will be like, that is so cruel. It's not. It's really not, because we have to also think about ourselves and our needs, right? Like, it's an energy exchange. Some people don't agree with what I'm saying, and that's okay too. There's room for all of us and all our beliefs. But some of us want to do this as our full-time profession. But, I don't know. I guess they just think that cards are going to we're going to magically use the cards and know how to get the money magically. I don't know. But yeah, let's see. Yes. Oh, hold on. Yeah, make sure I got all the comments. I'll confess, I've had to work on leveling on my own emotional maturity to deal with other folks in this way. Yes, that's an ever-evolving process. I'm in my 40s, still ever evolving in that. That's just what it is. I love that. Thank you, Anne. Even the structure of the tarot itself reminds us that life is a holistic pursuit requiring balance in all areas. Yes, we could that could be put somewhere. I love that, Nina. Yes, balance, balance, balance. For sure. That's what it's about. We need it. We need it, right? If it gets too off kilter, the dynamics in all of our lives and every aspect gets all wonky and out of whack, and it starts to impact other areas. It's just what it is. And the tarot is a beautiful example of that. So we touched upon a lot of things here. Low rates, being a slave to the good review. It sometimes breaks my heart when I see people, like, I'm part of a few Facebook groups for folks, like for the different hotlines, right? Or the different, like that line of tarot reading. And people will be like, oh, well, I just really don't want a bad review. I did everything I could. I gave them this, I gave them that, I gave them extra readings, all this and that. And it's like, no. Don't be a slave for the good review. Put your best foot forward. Be in integrity with your work and show it when you're feeling good, healthy and ready mentally to do a reading for someone else. Give it your all, and don't be a slave for a good review. The good reviews will come. So, and if they don't come, like if you happen to get a bad review, look at it. Some people are like, I never look at my bad reviews. I look at them. I don't actually, I have the one where I said, I dug my heels in the sand. You guys could look at Etsy, and it's her. She's not on Etsy anymore. I don't know if she got booted or what happened, but profile completely gone. Maybe she moved on with life. But the hotlines I worked for, the one after a few years, and she was just like, she's like, the connection. I forgot what she said. Something about the connection. And I was like, I'm not mad at that. That's fine. And now I don't have to read for her again. Works out for me. Don't be a slave for a good review. Give it your best. Give it your all. We do that. We're givers naturally as readers. So, yeah, I put that down because that can become an unhealthy dynamic. I've seen it where, and I haven't really experienced this, but I've seen it with other readers who read for folks professionally, where they will, there will be someone, a client, who will book with them and book several readings with them, but then they'll kind of just allude to the fact that they're not going to give a good review. It's very passive aggressive, and it's like, don't, just say, please leave an honest review if you're called to do that. I need to be more cognizant of asking for reviews. I just don't. And people leave their reviews, and I'm grateful for them. I look at them. Do I get hung up on them? No. And when I see, I saw that one where she was like, we just didn't have a connection. I'm like, you know what? You're right. You're right. And that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes they're just spiteful people. Yeah. True. I mean, yeah. They have kind of like the same, probably like little personality as dare I say troll. I like to think that like troll energy, like on the social media world, is like there's wounded energy there. Sometimes there are just spiteful people who are self-loathing, and they do things like write bad reviews or projection. Nothing to do about that. Exactly. And that's why, I'll circle back. Don't take it personal, because that could very well be. It's very much what's going on with them, So now, if they have some constructive feedback for a reader, like, oh, they were 15 days late on my reading and with no explanation, I didn't know what's going on. Okay, well, let me get that feedback. Or, oh, the connection is off. Okay, we'll deal with that. But, I'm not going to tap dance and try and give you falsehoods about what I'm seeing in the cards for a good review. That's not in integrity with what I'm doing. But I understand how people fall into that, because if they're making their sole income or making an income off of reading for others, and they want a good reputation, they may be inclined to do some things that they didn't think they were going to do before. But I'm just not gonna do it. Let's see. Yeah, and those clients that just have that's exactly it. Some clients just are really having a bad day, a bad month, a bad moment in life. We've been there. A relationship that they just cannot wrap their mind around what to do. A job that is just sucking them dry, and they don't know all they can think about is I need the paycheck. And I'm pissed about my life, and I'm pissed that I can barely pay my bills, and I barely can pay for this reading. And this is what you have to tell me. So I completely can understand. And yes. Exactly. We have to go Jack Nicholson on them. Yes. If you can't handle the answer, don't ask the question. And you can have that like little language, I'm like, I say something to the effect of, this is a judgment-free zone. However, I'm not going to sugarcoat things. Something to that effect, Here's Johnny. It's that time of year. Oh my God. You guys are cracking me up. So yeah, we talked about several readings in a short period of time. Reading addictions, we've touched upon that. They get addicted. People get addicted to anything, including readings. They get addicted. And we could get addicted to feeling needed, feeling heard. They're spending money to pay for readings, or not, or maybe it's not even that. Maybe you guys are just friends and you're doing readings for them. It can feel good, or because you're validating things for them in the card readings, right? But then at some point it can become addictive on both sides. You just have to check that. So, and this brings up another thing of, over time, when you work with repeat clients, sometimes as a reader, you naturally, we're human, naturally you care about that person. And when you see that they're not listening to things, or they're going down a path with like a person that it's like, ooh, I'm not sure about this. You've been hurt. We've been doing readings for like a year now, and you've been hurt by this person, like really hurt, and I'm concerned. The moment when I start to feel that way, I realize that I'm not objective enough anymore really to be a reader for that person. I have to make a decision at that point. Do I work on that? How much time do I want to invest in checking my bias, or checking my lenses of the situation? Sometimes I push through and work through it, but there have been one or two instances where I said, I care about you, and I think that you need to get another reader's input on this. And they respectfully do that. So I'm not addicted to them. That's not even, so I kind of segue into that. There's, clients who get addicted to readings, but then there's also where, as a reader, our biases start to show. And bias, like we think, like bias, like, people's sexual practices. No, it's not just that. It could show up in many different ways. So just being in integrity with yourself. She's the Jack Nicholson from The Shining. That works too, Nina. That works too. Oh, thank you for saying that. Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate you. I say that because I feel like I'm always evolving with that. I'm not perfect. This week is, for me, very cups. Like, if you're part of the tarot study, I've been putting in my daily little post with the antique anatomy. It's very much this week for me, cups or water or elixirs energy. And I'm an air sign, sun sign, and then fire, moon, and rising. So I'm like, normally this cups energy is a little much, but I'm reveling in it. I needed it. I needed this. So I love that I decided to do something like this type of live, where we're just shooting the breeze about these kind of issues, because it scratches my little cups like that I need to like scratch from time to time. And I don't know, laughing at The Shining, not thinking Kim is oh God, that was funny. My gosh, I care about so many people I barely even know. It's all the Cancer in my chart. Yes, I love that. See? And you are definitely way more well-versed in all of the cosmos and the astrological realm than I am, I have to say. So I have to admit, you're half water. That's hilarious. I'm actually just my sun is Aquarius and Aries rising and Sag moon. So I don't know. I'm still learning what all that means. I kind of energetically feel what all of it means from time to time. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm very Aquarius today. But I know that there's other things to consider with such, like with astrology. Oh, you are welcome. It's true. It's true. All true. I tell no lies. I have to keep that up. Little cups. Okay. And shopping for answers. We talked about that. Folks do shop for answers. I don't, in and of itself, blame people for shopping tarot readers or just different types. Maybe they were like, oh, I went to an astrologer about this, and I'm now going to a tarot reader, and now I'm going here and there. Or they go to like 5 different readers. It just becomes, again, where if you're shopping for answers, it's just like when you were a kid in school, right? And was it kid in school? No, wrong analogy. When I worked in an insurance company, and we would have coworkers who you would, as a seasoned employee, of the company, what's what, but this new person would come and ask you because they know, and you spend all this time giving them the information, and then you overhear them over here asking the same question and probably getting pretty much the same answer, maybe a little spin on it, and then you hear them over here, and then they eventually get to the supervisor who they really need the answer from, really what they were looking for, and they've wasted all this time. But again, I come from a place of compassion. I know, like, you are really trying to wrap your mind around this situation or this person or relationship in your life. But I stand in my truth, and I don't go listening and reviewing other people's readings. Like sometimes they'll say, oh, well, can I send you so-and-so's reading? No, I'm not interested in that, because I'm going to do my own energetic forecast of what's going on. And a lot of times, and I'm always amused. That's why I wouldn't turn these readings away, but I'm always amused because usually the other readers were all kind of in sync, and the client would be like, you guys are all saying the same thing. And I'm like, look at that. Look at us. Like, not all the time, but sometimes what's cool about when they do shop and you find out another reader is looking at it from one vantage point, and that's where their gifts lie. And I come over here and looking at it from this vantage point, my style of reading the cards. And so it's interesting if the client is really honest with themselves and with us about what's happening, what they're doing. It's kind of interesting and fascinating. But, it can't, again, when you might have to like put a kibosh on it. You might have to put a stop to it. Oh, that used to bother me so much. Like what I said meant nothing. I don't see it that way anymore. Yeah, that's right. Initially, it is off-putting at first. And even when I worked in my old former career life, after a while, like my colleagues who would be like, you see this? Sally's over there asking. I just spent 15 minutes explaining. Sally's learning. This is Sally's style. This is how Sally processes gaining this information. Not my business. I'm going to do my job until it feels uncomfortable for me. Okay. Or until I can see something down the line where I'm like, ooh, this might become an issue, or it might become, I'm sure there's some ethical issues that could come up at a later time, but, just focus on what you can do and what your gifts are and what you bring to the reading table. Be like, oh no, you're wise, client. When I share with you my reading, you process all these other readings that you have got. You do that work. Yeah, that's right. it's like different, like the prisms or like, facets on a ring. I don't have my ring that would have facets, but they're looking at it from different vantage points, different perspectives, and really helping them to gain the truth. And I think that's cool. And if you can, look at it that way. That's right. The client is responsible for the results in all aspects, really and truly. We're the interpreters, the translators of what's being downloaded, what we're sharing, and what we're seeing in the cards, or what we're intuiting. But at the end of the day, once we deliver that information, it is up to them to process it, to work with it, all that. Yeah. Oh my goodness. What time is it? I just lost track of time. I'm like, it's 3:21. Like, how did it get this time? Okay, so readers compromising, and we talked about that, just being careful not to compromise your needs, your ethics, on both sides. Clients, of course, readers, especially, because once boundaries are crossed, once, if you say, okay, I'll allow one follow-up question or one clarifying question, and now you've given them like 10 like back and forth exchanges, and then it's starting to morph into not even the same situation. It's now morphed into a whole different situation they're asking about, but they've crossed the boundary that you've set. So just be mindful of that, because that could lead to different dynamics that turned a potentially good working relationship into something that's not so good for you, right? But then I always fall back on, well, if it was going to go that direction, I guess it's for the best. But, it doesn't have to be. And we're trying to move with as much ease as possible. And if we have a boundary, it's important to have it adhered to, right? So, and it's important to have boundaries. Sorry, they're chatty outside the window. And I'm like, barely, let me bring the mic closer. And we talked about that, not following the guidance, seeking another reading, passive aggressive behaviors. We've talked about the compromise ethics. Look at that. We made our look. Oh, we talked about that. Calling day and night, the needy and the needed, being careful of being a martyr as a reader. We did touch upon that. What are your thoughts about, especially in the hotline world? And I suppose it could happen in the pro tarot reading world, where you're even when you're giving, readings that are, barter or free or what have you. I suppose this could happen too, where you find yourself just sharing what some may perceive, and that's what I mean. Some may perceive, where you're telling the client or querent what they want to hear. And I have many thoughts about that, because we want, it's balance, right? We want to empower our querents, the people seeking, right? We want to empower them, but we also want to be forthright in sharing the information as kind and as compassionately as we possibly can, and just saying, hey, I'm here with you in this reading, and whatever comes up in this reading, I'm right here to help you understand what's coming up. And that definitely helps with clients feeling good about what you're saying, even if you have to relay some news that's not so, what appears to be stellar. But to definitely also be careful of, only sharing the positive, or omitting what you don't, and I can understand sometimes omitting things. I'm like, well, if they didn't ask about this specific thing, I'm not going to mention it. There's a time and a place for that. I don't have a hardline stance on this. I just wanted to have you guys percolate on that, because there's this notion of like, oh, people who have really high reviews is because that reader's not telling the queer what they want to hear. That's not necessarily so. I'm like like my homeschool study is law of attraction, manifestation, attracting the life which you want. So my lens is that. And if I have the ability to see how people can manifest that which they want, then I'm going to share that with them. If I didn't have that inside of me, I wouldn't be interested in sharing with them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if any of this makes sense, but it's sometimes I'll see that in like Facebook groups where like, oh, well, this person has tons of reviews, or I'll see, a conversation where, well, if you have all good reviews, that means that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. I don't know. So yeah, let me see. Hey, Moonchild Tarot 3, hello. 12:20. Oh, it's 12:21 here. What? Oh, are you in the Pacific Coast, my beloved old time zone, Nina? Are you? When I'm at an impasse with a client who wants to hear a specific answer, I pull more cards and ask for more information. And usually I can get the queer to come to what's true. Exactly. I like that. They'll come around and realize, and oftentimes as you shuffle and more cards come up, it's like reiterating the message even more and driving it home even further. And so I'm like, thank you, Spirit. I believe in my higher power, Spirit, orchestrating all of this. I'm like, thank you for the additional guidance to share. How do you deal with giving a client a full nuanced reading, and then at the end they want you to say, but does the person like me? Yes or no? That's such a great question. I love it, because that happens a lot. That does. And you're like, you didn't see this whole spread and nuance reading I gave you for you to really glean the information you're supposed to be doing. You didn't see all that, but you just want a yes or no. And what's frustrating about that, it's not always so cut and dry as yes or no, right? It's just not. Should you pursue them, yes or no? Well, let's see. If you pursue them, I'm going to tell you right now, I can't really do a yes or no. Sometimes if I'm not using like my little magic dice and I don't feel like using them and I'm just using the cards, one deck, I'm like, I'm not sure if I can give you a yes or no with this, because what I'm going to show you and demonstrate for you, dear client, dear querent, is if you continue down this path of pursuing them, this is what's in the forecast of how you're going to feel 12 months from now about that decision, and how they may be showing up in your life in that time frame. And here's what it'll look like, dear client, if you decide to stay single or explore love somewhere else, or just kind of focus on yourself. Here's how that looks like. Let me demonstrate for you. Because saying yes or no, and I'll look at the cards and I'll kind of get a gist intuitively, like after all that we've gone through, dear client, I look through here, Sally. I don't know. It's looking like a lot of work with this one. This guy is looking like a lot of work. Free will, free choice. You make that decision ultimately, right? I'm here to just kind of show you like what's coming up here. Yes or no is difficult. It's too black and white. And so, like for me, what I would tolerate from a man or a partner, not just a man, partner, is not something that another person will tolerate, or that I will tolerate, or I will tolerate, and like someone else would never tolerate. So to say yes or no, I can't. But let's get some questions that'll help you get clear on your yes or no. That's what I want to do. But there are some readers who have cards that will say yes or no, or who are very gifted at that. But I like the nuanced readings that's where I like to dwell. And I'm not going to compromise on that, even with hotlines, even when they want to press for quick answers. This is my style. I'm very explicit in my descriptions of what I offer and what I give and how I work. And you will get your answers. It's just you very much, client, are a part of this process in my style. There's some readers who just do it all for show and they just want to lay it out. Great. And I do that, but to just an extent. Sorry. That was a great question. Great question. I like to share possibilities. So whenever I get vibes that it's not the answer they want to hear, I'll deliver it, but I'll provide possibilities of dealing with it. Okay, you've got an example. Someone asked about dedicated love. I saw that it may not happen in the astrology. I said it as I saw it, but also shared what I did see, because I did see fun short-term love instead. That's beautiful. And hey, many of us are here for the short-term love, and that's okay. And you can still, and that really, it's the truth. You're sharing the truth. You're not sharing something that's not true in what you're downloading or what you're interpreting or what you're seeing. That is it. You're giving them another vantage point as well, to another perspective too. I love that. Yeah, life is yeah. I wish it were just black or white. And then they want black and white answers. They want you to make it clear. And it's like, it's just not. There's so many complexities. Should I leave him? Even though there's so many things intertwined into trying to leave someone, right? And it's like, well, I can't just answer yes or no for you. That's, but I know that there are readers who could definitely go there. That's not my style. Real talk, Moonchild Tarot 3, real talk. I feel like this too. And this is why I think I was saved from really being able to afford probably tarot readings in my 20s and about my love life when I was still dating. Because if I have to ask about it, like if it's a question mark, chances are the relationship is not quite what you want. Now, I get it. There are many folks who come to a reading like, I've been hurt before. This person is really showing me and demonstrating to me that they are really loving me and into me. How can I make this work, or blah, blah, blah. You can ask a question about a decent relationship. Oftentimes, if you're asking, probably because there's something off there. I agree. There's something off. Exactly. Sally. I just had to pull out some freaking name. It had to be Sally. Like next week, I'm going to get a better name. Some people are, no offense to my Sallys, by the way, but I'm not going to say Kim either. I need something snazzy for my faux person. Some people are bad at reading others just by observation. Plus, sometimes people are complex and they don't want to show their feelings. Like I can feel empathically someone crushing on me, but they might not act that way. Exactly. And so and that's why I dwell in the nuance. Like, what's really going on? They may be demonstrating or showing you one thing and feeling and really going to move in another way. I want to know about that part. I don't know. I want to know about all the parts, but especially that part. Like, what are they really trying to do over here? And then it turns out that either A, they're really into you and they're just really shy, or they're trying to run for the hills, or they just want to play the field, or they want to date and stuff like that. But it's very complex. Yes or no is too much. But if they ask 3 different readers to give an answer, that's a red flag. Yeah. Because and I always say, it's okay to have your trusted, solid I think somebody told me, no, you need at least 2 or 3 readers. What if one is not feeling well and another one, is more stronger in this area? And I'm like, okay, whatever. But at the end of the day, if you go to a gifted reader, they're going to download and share with you the insights that they have, what you are ready and prepared to receive. It is an issue. It can indicate, if you're shopping around from reader to reader to reader, that you're having a hard time accepting the information that you're receiving. And, are you addicted to readings? Are you not willing to receive what's coming up here in the readings? What is that? And a lot of people just don't want to slow down and figure what that could be. But as professionals and people with high integrity, then if it starts to feel like I'm sensing, and then if you start to argue with me like, oh, well, so-and-so reader said this, and I don't see why that's good that they said that. That's wonderful that you went to them and got readings from them. Yay, you're supporting the readers, right on. But no, we're not going to argue about or pit my interpretations, my predictions, and whatnot against another reader. We're not going to do that. So, yeah, my keyword is acting weird. I understand people be confused. Yes, they be on that confusion tip. Don't they? I knew it. Yay! I was like, I know that time zone. I know it so well. I was born and raised in that time zone. Readings can be a distraction. It sure can. And distraction from them doing the work. And then sometimes, like when I started having a slew of clients who were getting into those habits, I just took a break. I was like, oh, this is a signal for me to take a couple of weeks off of this particular hotline. And some people are like, oh, you're going to let them stop your money? No, I'm going to focus my other efforts on another hotline or on my Etsy shop or on my website or whatever. I'm just going to take, because energetically it's starting to drain me. And then I'll go away and then I'll come back. And then maybe an old repeat client who we were starting to fall into a negative client reader dynamic, they'll say, oh my gosh, I missed you. But guess what? I started doing what you were saying and like what was coming up in the cards. And this is what I manifested, and that happens for me quite a bit because I listen intuitively to the ebbs and flows of the work that I'm doing, the healing work I'm doing, my business, when I need to take a step back, maybe focus on more creative endeavors. So it's all of that. It's all of that. I do the kind of readings that give people homework. Yes. Oh, I love that. You're like, I'm not for everyone. And that is right. And there's how many people on this planet? And I want a reader who's going to give me homework. Now, yeah, there might be some situations where I'm like, give it to me straight. Just let me know. But more often than not, there are those of us who want homework. There are those of us who don't. But if you're like, this is the kind of readings I deliver, these are the kind of clients I wish to attract, I'm setting that intention to call in that tribe to me, those who we're not going to waste each other's time. They're going to do the homework. You're far away in a foreign land, but not foreign to me. Oh, we're all here together in all our different corners of the world. Yes, homework does sound great. Oh, see, that's what I love how we can get together. You're in Argentina. I want to go to visit. I want to visit Argentina. Cannot wait till I'm finally able to start traveling and going to see Central America, South America, especially. I've always been fascinated about South America and Argentina and Brazil in particular for some strange reason. Not strange, though. Not strange. It's just some people are like, you? Yes, me. I would be super unpopular on the hotline. You'd be surprised. Finding the right hotline, and then it just allows for the right tribe. And I'm not everybody's cup of tea either. Do you know I use jumpers even on hotlines, and I'm like, sorry guys, I can't be rushed. Can't be rushed. Can't be rushed. I have to see what the messages are, and they hang in there with me. So but yeah, I get it, and that's why I always encourage people: have your website, have your Etsy shop, have your Facebook page marketplace or IG marketplace, have those things so you can have the kind of listings of your readings that you want. You can provide those services because I assure you there are folks that will vibe with that. There are folks that will vibe with it. So yeah, let me see. We talked about that. Look at us. We can circle. We'll close with that. Clients testing their new readers. We did kind of touch upon that. Maybe that's for another day, but it's really simple. You're going to have folks who test you for a variety of reasons, right? They're testing out new readers who just opened up their virtual shop, or they just joined the hotline, or they just started doing their YouTube channel and they're doing readings for the collective. Let me test them. Let me see. Some people who are very comfortable with getting readings, and some people who are like, I'm a non-believer, convince me, So you're going to encounter that from time to time. I don't really much anymore. And I don't entertain folks who are like the non-believer. Like if you're non-believing and you're respectful and you come to me for a reading, whether I'm going to chart you, like whether it's just like in a social setting and someone says, oh yeah, Kim's a tarot reader. And they're like, what am I thinking? Not going to be doing a reading for you in that energy. But if you're like genuinely like, I'm so curious, I've always been called to have a reading. Would you pull a card for me? And knowing me, I have a little deck in my purse. And so, yeah, of course. But if there's some kind of weird energy where you're like, prove to me. No, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to prove anything to you. But I see you. Oh, my she's like the manager of this apartment. Her boyfriend, Juan, he's from Argentina. And he was like the first person I saw when I came to this place when we were renting. And he's like full of life. He was like, you got to check out Argentina. He goes back and forth between here and the DR. And I was like, oh yeah, I've got to go see. I'm going to go see. Well, hello. Hi. Yay. I know, right? We're like the way they say, two ships in the night keep passing. And we finally connected. Thank you for joining. So yeah, we touched upon pretty much everything I think I wanted to share. Business reader, client, professional lines are blurred. Oh, and last but not least, I guess when readers become more. Now, I had a few more, but I'm not going to keep you guys here all day. I try to keep these like at least around an hour, and then I always end up going over. Oh, we kind of have to touch upon these. Short on funds and freebie requests. Maybe for those folks, because if you start to get into a dynamic of doing readings for those folks who are like, oh, I don't have the funds, but I'm gonna finally pay you for a reading. You just have to make up your mind in the beginning of how you're going to deal with that, because you're going to deal with that. So whether you're in social media or not, and they know you're into cards, you'll have people submitting your little DM requests. You just have to make a decision on that. And I like to just do readings in a setting like either a giveaway on my channel or some kind of I need your assistance. I want real questions for a course I'm going to create. So submit your questions, but please don't mind, we're going to actually use your question for a potential lesson I'm teaching or something like that. I really try to be very intentional about my freebie, like the freebies that I extend out, and just have a policy of like, if you're sliding in my DMs, I wish I could, but no, like I got heck of people sliding my DMs, like friends and family members and stuff. And I'm like, on time. So yeah. And yeah, business, when the lines become blurred, and I put when readers and clients become more, this doesn't really happen so much in the virtual world. I guess it could, but I've read for other readers who have started to fall for their clients, and or their clients start to fall for the readers. And I have not had that happen in all my readings. And I've done quite a few now through all of the different mediums. And I have not, but I have seen it like in the like Facebook groups, and I'm thinking, I would not want to deal with that. Like where a client starts to become fixated on you and you're like, what am I going to do with this? Or the reader, I've had one instance where someone really hook, line, and sinker onto another reader, and he was not feeling her, and she was just not having it, and it started to become kind of a toxic situation between me and her, because I was like, I didn't know him, I didn't know her, she just came to me. But after a while I was like, I'm not comfortable with this. You're asking questions and it's clear he's told you he's not really into you, and he's a reader, and I'm feeling like he could pick up on me reading about him. It was just like, no. And so she eventually stopped. I said, this is not healthy, for me. I can't speak for you, ma'am, but for me, it's not. So, do you have limited contact details to prevent being on call afterwards? Oh, do you have limited contact details to prevent being on call afterwards? Do you mean on a call afterwards? Let me get clarification from you. I'm left-handed. Yes, I am left-handed. I sure am. Oh, you saw me with my pen. Well, how do you know that? Like, yes. Do you have limited contact details to prevent being on call afterwards? Is it on call with like a reading? Obviously, but I guess I need just a little more clarification, my dear. But I'm curious because I'm like, do you have limited contact details? Sometimes I do. If you meaning like when I get a request like through like a hotline, usually through my Etsy shop or through my website, because the way my listings are for there, I kind of formulated where people have to like provide some information, like they can't really move past anywhere without it. And I won't let them. But through a hotline, yeah, sometimes it's very limited like information. And I'll just ask the questions. I'm like, I'm shuffling, and cards are flying out, and I'm like, but I do need some, if I need clarification, I will ask, but let me get more clarification from you. That is the stuff of my nightmares, for real though, right? I was like, this is a thing, huh? But of course, even my old industry, like there would be guys who would flirt with me. I was an auto claims adjuster, injury claims adjuster. So if people got into a car accident, I settled their injury claims. This is back in the day. And like the guys would flirt with me for either they were flirting with me because they really wanted to like date me, or they were flirting because they thought they would get more money from the insurance company through me. But it was weird. So it happens in every, but it didn't. There was one time where a lady I worked with at an insurance company that's no more, it like dissolved or whatever, many years ago. They started stalking her, like, and it was freaking me out because she and I would go out to lunch together, and like we weren't really in a secure building at the time. And like one time he came up, we had to call, like it was like the sheriff had to be called, like. So I've seen those instances. So it doesn't surprise me, that it can happen in our little world too. But I was like, this is creepy. It's like perfect, like a Halloween, like little movie we could create. Tons of people on DM asking for free readings. Yeah, and it's like sometimes it's like I get it. You want a reading, but it's like, ooh, the disrespect though. Like you're asking me And some people are like, I have no qualms about giving free readings. And at one point I didn't either, but now it is my livelihood. And not only that, sometimes I don't even have time to do what I love, which is reading the cards for people. I have other demands on my life right now. And then you're slipping in with this long message about do a free reading. And I'm like, I just had a giveaway, or I just had a call out for questions like a week ago. If you were following, like, you had your opportunity. The opportunity is gone. Oh my goodness, that does happen. Where people will continue to ask. Now, if they're just shooting the breeze with me and I have the time, I'll send a quick little message like, hey, how you doing? But if it's starting to be like, oh, you want me to bust out my cards and start asking questions? Well, then now we're moving into territory of we need to have compensation. And not only that, boundaries. It's important to spell out in your frequently asked questions section, or your terms of service, information on your site or wherever, or in your listing. Like, I allow for one, email exchange about this, or one clarifying question, or one this or that. So that way, if like it moves from pleasantries and they're just like building a connection with the reader to, oh, I paid you once, now I could just keep asking for more and more questions. No. I need to refer you back to my frequently asked questions section, where I'm mentioning here about my policy on follow-up questions or follow-up contact. Yeah, but that does happen. Or they'll find you on social media and they're sending you messages that way. And it's like, no, I'm a stickler about this. If you book through my Etsy shop, please communicate through the Etsy shop. I like to keep it all contained in one area. And, I just want to keep it all contained because it's easier for me to manage. Then you're like, over here sending me a message through Facebook, over here through Instagram, over here through Etsy, over here through my website, like in my Gmail. It's like, oh, I can't keep up. I'm a one-woman show. Many of us are, or one man, or one person show. And please work with us. We're doing the best we can. Every detail of the reading and wanting more info to clarify every detail. Yes. And sometimes they will do that. That's such a good question, actually, where you were mentioning about after the reading's done and after the reader has probably given all the details, every last detail. Because some of us are sparse and just say a few words, but many of us, if we're in this, we love to go into the details. And so we're a little taken aback when they're like, what about this? And what about that? Well, what did this mean? What did that mean? I'll allow for one exchange of that. And then after a while, it's like, I lay it out. Now, the style of reading that I do, typically, my most popular readings are my video readings, and I'll do like a little written summary with it. So you've got ample insights. And so if there's a piece that I need to clarify, I'm happy to do so. There's some people also, that's how they process it. And it is virtual. So I have compassion if it's virtual, right? So things can get lost in translation. If it's something like that, where they're like, oh, okay, I can see that maybe I didn't finish my thought here and they need more insights on that, I can give that. And it's not like we're face to face. We're in a virtual setting where they have to send their message, I have to reply back. If we were sitting across from each other, then they could just easily say, well, what about this card? And what about that card? And I don't understand. And you would have just said, okay, cool. And it would be odd for them to later on email you or call you after the fact, unless you have that kind of relationship where, well, remember when we were sitting at the table and I asked for clarification? What does this mean? They probably wouldn't do that. But it's the medium that we're in. So I allow for that. And I encourage people to have a certain bit of latitude built in and written into their terms of service, but have that latitude and room and charge accordingly, so that way you don't feel taxed and maxed when somebody emails you for a question. So that's a great question. Thank you. Let's see. We figured they had too many contact details for clients. hotlines to contact them to the public domain, Messenger, WhatsApp. Oh my gosh. Yes. And that's, ooh, and now there's so many different ways to reach out to people. And it's like, no, if you found me through Etsy, please keep it through there. If I have and I haven't started doing listings on Instagram or really even Facebook. I think I have one listing there, but I haven't really seriously did that. My medium is my YouTube channel, hey, my Etsy shop primarily, and my website primarily, and email, which is abundantlife2row@gmail.com. Very simple. If you're starting to message me with all these details, I'm like, no, I need it in one spot, please. And I send them a confirming email anyway, so they can just kind of respond. And back, we have one thread. Yeah. And then also I can't keep revisiting. And I also cap it at 36 hours after a reading. You could say 24 hours. I say 36 because things happen. Storms happen out here, right? But after a while, I've moved on, and I'm not going to keep revisiting it over and over again. So I give them a length of time to ask a clarifying question, so. Yeah, that's real. That does happen. I still do mostly free, but do make that publicly known. Feel like I'm putting my training hours. Yeah, and I did it too. I put it in there. I did it in Facebook groups. I did it a lot with colleagues, for like friends, my blessed friends and colleagues. Read for them like many, many, many hours. I have so many unlisted videos of readings, free video readings I did for people from long ago. And I even say I'll delete those videos after a year, but I don't. I leave them up. So in case they want to go and look back, I doubt they look back, and I should just delete them, but I don't. But you're putting in you're getting your training hours. I love that. Your apprenticeship hours, right? That happens to a teacher of mine who has a metaphysical business. She has to lay down the line firmly, and she's good at that. I love when I witness people who are really good at that. We can learn a lot from them, right? We really can. Oh, you're Southpaw too. See, look at us. Look at us coming together. I love it. She's like, yes, true. I am left-handed and proud. Yes, clear boundaries. And that makes it easy for you, especially if you're like many of us that find ourselves as readers, whether you're doing it for free or not. Even if you're doing them for free and you have a site or on your Facebook page or wherever they're coming to you, you can still have your boundaries set and clear and ready on your notepad in your phone, that copy and paste to send off to someone once they ask for a free reading, or when they ask for a reading. But it just keeps things simple, for everybody involved. It's an act of kindness to both of us, to you, to me as a reader. So yeah, I feel like it's cool if it's a communication issue where we might have a misunderstanding or a language barrier. That's right. Language barriers are a thing. Trust and believe. But if it's like, give me more, give me more, give me more, it's off. And it's so like, oh no. And in the hotline world, sometimes we'll just, as readers, we just stop engaging. We just stop responding. I'm imagining that would be the same like with DMs in Instagram, and just stop engaging because it's like, I can't. But some people, again, we can learn from these people. They're like, okay, have a wonderful day. I had to start getting like this. Well, it's been such a pleasure reading the cards for you. It's such an honor. Thank you for allowing me into your sacred space to do so. Sweet blessings or whatever the case may be, and send them on their way respectfully. Yep. Put a cap on it. Oh, no problemo. Oh my gosh. Look at that. There's a reason why we're all here collectively. Like, right? Like, look at that. All Southpaws here. Look at that. So yeah, guys, I think I went through everything. that I think we could chat about today. Do you have any questions for me? You guys asked great questions, great commentary. Thank you, thank you. We didn't throw cards today. Next time, guys, I promise I will allot for a time where we bust it. Last week, it was cool where we were in synergy. We were talking about the cards, and I was even wanting to throw some cards today, but it didn't happen. I think I'm still kind of tired from the lack of sleep of hearing the drip, drip, drip of the leak in the bathroom. Everyone's a lefty in this space. Everybody. I don't even know. Like, I've been so used to being the one of like maybe 3 people in the class of like 25 in school. And then like my teachers all feeling sorry, like, because the desks are like configured weird. The scissors are not for us. It's just a very right-hand dominant world when I was in school. And so I kind of had to force my way of how to, you guys know what it's like to be a left-handed individual. I love it. Thank you, Emma, for showing up. We are wrapping up today. So I want to thank you all so much for joining. Definitely vote for next week's topic. I'm going to probably maybe pull for some topics that we voted on, or maybe not. It just depends on how I feel. I love when you guys vote. I appreciate you for joining me today. Thank you all for those who watched the replay. I love reading your comments afterwards. So please don't hesitate to share. And don't hesitate to jump in next week. Like I said, I'm going to do my best because I do want to throw some cards for folks. But this was a big topic. This is kind of big. So sometimes it'd be like that. It'd be like that. I love it. I love it. All right, guys. Well, much love to all of you. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. And I will see you all next Thursday at our Tarot Love Clinic, T.L.C. Take it easy and bye.